Why, you want me to bring this in? Oh my God.
Welcome back, everybody.
Oh my God.
Rightly so.
Rightly so. Welcome back. We're going to get into scholars identify alarming trends among U.S. men. We're going to get right into it.
Get into it.
Thank you guys for joining.
My mic dusty.
My mic dusty too. Why that is.
In the U.S., the 2020 decline in college enrollment was 7 times greater for male than for female students. Among men with only a high school education, 1 in 3 is out of the labor force. For those who have a job, typical earnings are $881 a week, down from $1,017 a week in 1979. Mortality from drug overdose, suicide, and alcohol-related illnesses are almost 3 times higher among men than women.
All right, what you got?
All right. What's going on? What's wrong with men? What's going on? Why y'all so hurt? That's childish. No.
Well, it all started.
Yeah, that's it. 3 times is like more than likely. You know, that's scary that guys are going through this stuff and you don't hear more about what the male is struggling with.
Yeah, but I mean, what I believe, a lot of times reading a lot of this stuff and going in the news, a lot of this stuff, you know, you got the feminist movement, right? And the feminist movement is everything about equality, but you have a feminist movement, and then you have like how we were just talking about the Black Lives Matter thing, how you have what the feminist movement stands for and what society wants it to be type of thing, like how it's like new. So it's like anything that comes out about upping men or trying to get men ahead or helping men is automatically shut down across a lot of things. So just like the video you were watching, that was like the one you were watching on your video when we were trying to prepare for this one, as soon as the guy was like, women are succeeding men in education by whatever percent, the whole audience applauded, right? If he were to say men are exceeding women by such and such percent, nobody would have applauded like that. And that's kind of like not necessarily brainwashed, but that's kind of where it is.
Right. And we should play that video too.
Yeah, I'll play a portion of that video. I'll snip it in right here.
What's the short answer for why this happened?
I think the education system actually suits girls and women better than boys and men on average. And we didn't know that because previously we weren't encouraging girls and women to go on to college. So under conditions of sexism, actually their natural advantages in the classroom didn't really show up. But since we've taken the lid off women's educational opportunities and aspirations, they've just blown right past the boys in high school, in college, etc. And so it turns out that a level playing field exposes who are the better players. And
we're trying to get at the root cause. Why are men in such crisis? I mean, the stats are like only 40% go to college. So they're losing out to women there in a big way. And women with degrees don't marry men who don't have degrees. So like, great, you'll be lonely forever, aren't you? Why are you cheering that? That's not.
Yeah, so what about you? What you think?
Yeah, that was just like, it's alarming. It's alarming.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Richard Reeves joins me now. He's a senior fellow in economic studies at the Brookings Institution, where he's the director of the Men and Boys Project. So, Richard, have we had some mass psychological breakdown, or is it something else?
no, I think this is a structural problem. Michael, you've just talked about the changes in the labor market. We've seen a decline in traditionally male jobs in manufacturing and heavy industry. That's hit working class men particularly hard. But also the education system is really now failing many of our boys. We've seen girls and women succeeding in the education system, which is, of course, a wonderful thing, but they've blown way past boys and men. And actually, there are many aspects of the education system now that are not very male-friendly. And the result of that is for many men to just be struggling in the family and in life in general. And it's high time we paid serious attention to the problems of boys and men.
Is it all just a natural consequence of women entering the workforce and attaining rights that, frankly, they should have had a lot sooner?
I think part of it is just adjusting to a world of equality, and there's something to be said for the fact that's difficult. If you were previously unfairly ahead, as many men were, then this is something of a recalibration.
I like how he carefully words, because you can tell he's really trying to prove his point without trying to bash women. Like, he's like, the subject here is not that women is doing so well that it's kind of downplaying men. He's just like,
right.
We're focusing on equality. We have to kind of, like what he say, recalibrate the way the modern male is, treated in the education and in the workplace. He's not trying to downgrade women or say it's women's fault that men are now struggling. He's just saying, like, attention needs to be brought to this matter.
Right.
And I think he's choosing his words carefully, just like you said, so he doesn't get
he has to
attacked.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's like the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has to pick his words so carefully so women aren't offended by it, right? And I'm saying that's a problem, as in that, I mean, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything has to be so careful so you don't irritate how women think and how women see it or whatever like that, and then get all these women against you. And that's where the modern male is struggling. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're struggling at, because it's like, the moment you start saying that men need help, or the moment you start saying you want to do things for men, it's almost like, oh, now it's women's fault. What about women? But it's like, if you want equality, then it needs to be equality all the way across the board.
Right.
Men and women are equal in almost every way. You know what I'm saying? Of course, men have different things and women have different things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking about, overall, as far as like emotional baggage and physical demands and stuff like that, like, things are kind of the same across the whole board. So it's like, men are struggling, and then it's like, but what about women? Like, we're not talking about women. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just not what it is.
Yeah. I feel like the conversation needs to be safe, because at the end of the day, like, I have a son.
Right.
And I want to make sure that my son doesn't fall into one of these stats. And I feel like that's where people kind of miss that point. Like, we do need to protect, just like we need to protect our women. We're not taking away from women. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we do need to protect our men and our boys that's growing up right here, because these stats are alarming. You don't want to see, if you have boys, you don't want to see them. I feel like, as a black woman, I already worried about our sons going into this stigma of the black male and stuff like that. But a male in general, you want to protect them just as much as you want to protect your daughters.
Just as much. And just like we were talking about in our other video, how men and women are equal in the household as far as like a mother and a father and stuff like that. Like, of course, there's one statistic that shows that single motherhood is at an alarming rate, right? And then you look at it as children are more often going to be in the mother's home of a single mother. So if it's a continuous trend that there are single mother households and then households being raised by single mothers, the issue would be just having one parent, right? So then it needs to be involved that, okay, the dad needs to be brought in. We need to be helping getting the dad into the door instead of everything just about the mother, because if we're going to keep throwing statistics out, one parent, I'm not just saying the mother is at fault, one parent isn't good, right? So there needs to be more things set up so both parents, equality, again, to make the households better. So it's like you can't talk about males without attacking women, and that's not the case, and it's sad to see, because I deal with stuff like that on a daily basis. Like, I can't even talk about stuff without trending or walking a fine line. You know what I'm saying? So,
do you deal with that on daily?
Oh yeah, I deal with that all the time when I talk.
For me?
I mean, not from you.
I'm gonna say, let's get to it. Like,
just in general.
I'm gonna say, wait, hold on.
No, just in general.
But yeah, I one thing before we start, he talked about the workforce changing.
Yeah.
And you think about how back in the day, like he said, the manufacturing jobs have seen a decline, or the workforce where it was like more male because it was hard labor and stuff like that. But of course, companies become modernized and stuff like that, and more machines take over most of the hard work. Do you think that's another thing too that kind of takes away from the male, like just going out there and doing the hard work, because it was seen as the guy going out and working these hard jobs where the women kind of stayed home. But those kind of jobs have gone away, and now it's more the male is doing more of the jobs that also females can do. So you do feel like something like that has really kind of shaped the way things are going now, the decline in the manufacturing jobs where you saw most of those males working?
I don't know. I feel as far as as far as males going into jobs and stuff like that, like even the same thing with schooling, we're gonna react to different videos that'll kind of go to the point, but and I'll try to add some clips. I might not, right? But but they have the videos and the stuff that, you know, they interview the people and they're just like, guys, and they're like, what, you know, why don't you want to go to school? Why would you rather be? And it's because like nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, males don't care about males and females damn sure don't care about men. You know what I'm saying? Like overall, like the whole thing is, as long as we're doing what we need to do, we need to make sure the women are taken care of as best as they're taken care of. Good. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that men are thrown to the wayside, but it's kind of like helping this side and then thinking like, okay, this side is fine because it's been fine all these years. You know what I'm saying? So let's just keep building. But like, okay, this side is eroding as in men. You know what I'm saying? Like men and like the like male suicide is high. Male aggression is high. Men going to prisons is higher than women and stuff like that. And it's like that's not being answered or being helped or anything like that. So, you know, that's a big one. Yeah.
All right, let's keep
going to the next one.
There's no reason to think that fathers matter any less just because women are in the workplace. Arguably, fathers matter even more now that we've changed the world so that women can work too. And so it's not a zero-sum game. There's no evidence that the rise of women is responsible for the fall of men. But we are seeing many men struggling, even as many women are doing better in the labor market and in the world in general. And so we can think two thoughts at once. We can think there's more to do for girls and women, but still we should pay attention to some of these problems of boys and men.
Why does no one seem to speak to this issue who is a representative?
I think many are afraid that if you raise the issues of boys and men, that'll somehow mean that you're less concerned with the ongoing challenges facing girls and women. That's particularly true among Democrats, of course. I think that's a false choice. I think that if I was the Democrats, I would have made a big deal of the fact that the infrastructure bill, for example, was going to create, of the jobs it was creating, 70% would have gone to men. Mostly working class men of all colors, actually.
But him, you know, that was kind of going on with my other point, right? Saying that because you want to try to help men, it's like you're trying to downgrade women, you know. And I don't know if you see it, but as a man on a daily basis, you know what I'm saying? Like I see all the time, you'll see comments on social media, be like, well, remember that one comment I showed you? Or the one comment I told you about where the girl was like, I will never... What'd she say? I would never big up a guy or never compliment a guy, but this guy took me out on my first day or something like that. Something towards I expect.
Like she really enjoyed herself, but she didn't want to like give him his credit.
Yeah, she didn't want to give him his credit. And that's so often. You know what I'm saying? Like I see that all the time on timelines and stuff like that. But it's like the moment, it's like you don't want to give credit to men, but you want to help women, and that's kind of like our society nowadays is help women. And because women are doing so good does not mean, or just because the women are doing so good doesn't mean that's the reason why men are declining. Men are declining because they're not being looked at as, they're not being helped as much as women are. You know what I'm saying? So it's just more or less like that's how people, not brainwash. I want to use brainwash so bad, but not being brainwashed. That's just how the society, that's how the society is nowadays. It's just help women, and it's like, guys, get it where you can. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like because you look at a man and you think like, oh, a man is supposed to be so strong. A man can handle it. A man is supposed to go out there and just take and do whatever, you know. But a woman is kind of like, oh yeah, let me help you. But a man is kind of just supposed to go out there and just deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, be the leader, be this, be that. But it's kind of like, it's obvious that the man is struggling, but where, like you said, where is his help? Where are people caring about males? And it's not to take it away from the women. I have a lot of brothers, right? And when you sit here and you care about the men in your lives, you realize how important it is for the structure of a family.
Oh yeah. Because
you can't sit here and make sure one person's okay the whole time. Can't make sure just your spouse. You can't just always make sure I'm okay, but I can't care if you're okay. And that's kind of how society is right now. It's just always trying to make sure that the woman is okay, which is nothing is wrong with that. But you also got to put that same energy into the male. And I don't think it's anything wrong with that. And you're not taking away from the woman to try to make sure that the male is okay. It's like we're all in this together. And if the stats are there, and it's not like the stats aren't there, males are struggling. It is a fact, you know? So it's like we have to care about them as well.
Yeah. And even with that, you know, there's that saying that women, kids, and pets are loved unconditionally. And a man is only loved by how much he can provide, right? So if I'm not, and I'm not talking about like in our relationship, right? But as a man, if I'm not bringing anything to the table, or if I'm down bad or a deadbeat or whatever, because I can't provide, nobody's looking my direction. You know what I'm saying? No women's looking my direction or anything on what my potential could be,
right?
Or whatever. And granted, yeah, you have some people, right? There's always somebody who will be, right? But for the majority of men, they're not loved unconditionally. As a woman, you can fall off, you can live with your parents, you can never have a job. Somebody will still be there, try to wife you up, try to get you on your feet, try to help you. As a man, that's not the same thing. Even if you have all the ambition in the world and you're still failing, because we know some people in our lives who have ambition times 1,000, you know what I'm saying? And they're still failing at life. And it's just like, at the same time, as a man, you know, nobody wants to help them. Nobody wants, like, hey, they need to get better. They need to get their life together and stuff like that. But nobody's trying to help, you know, and that's what our society lives by. Women, children, and pets. I mean, your dog is loved unconditionally over men on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you deal with. And you deal with that, like, I deal with that outside of here. So, like, jobs, complete strangers. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they see me or they see just some random man, it's, hey, he can do bad all by himself pretty much. You know?
And it's kind of scary because most of the guys in my life, I feel like I talk to them a lot and you can tell they feel safe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of scary to think that guys feel like they can't open up,
right,
or can't be vulnerable,
or
can't, you know what I'm saying, share how they truly feel, or embarrassed to cry and stuff like that. Like, you see that a lot in men, and it's kind of scary to think, be tough, suck it up. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, we teaching our men that they aren't human, like they are robots, like, and it shouldn't be like that. And I don't want that for my son. Like, yo, if you feeling some kind of way, if you feeling down, like, it's okay to be human. And I feel like males struggle so much is because they are taught to be so tough and to be so strong and to be proud, but it's not working.
It kind of goes back to our other video that we just posted, which I'll put it up here, but how it's guys are taught to be tough and be proud, but we're never taught how to be treated, right? And we're not being taught how to be treated. The moment that we are vulnerable, or the moment that we do put ourselves out there and stuff like that, we get that stuff, depending on who we're dating and who we're with and who's in our circle, we get that thrown into our face as, oh, you're weak, this, that, and the third. And then we don't know that that's not how, those aren't the people you're supposed to be around. A lot of men have been in those circles. A lot of men have been brought up like that, hey, you know, just because you're vulnerable, just because you pour your heart out and stuff like that, if somebody uses that against you, that's not somebody who's for you, they're against you, right? And it's those things that even for our son, you know, I want to teach my son, like, hey, it's okay for this, it's okay for that, but your significant other, your girlfriend shouldn't sit there and put that in your face. I've seen plenty of comments on social media be like, I wonder why my man doesn't open up to me. But then a few months later, the girl posted, I'm letting my man be vulnerable so I can throw it in his face next time we have an argument.
Oh my goodness.
And it's people that live like that. People live like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's another reason why social media ruins relationships. We just
talked about it.
Check that video out.
Just talked about it. But in a social media world, everybody like, social media is not, for the most part, not real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not real. But people run through life as if social media is real. And you have younger kids, even adults, who are hooked on it and are living life like that, and are being like, not having social media is considered a mental illness If you lose your social media or whatever and how it affects you, it's considered a mental illness, up there with depression and suicide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just big. It's a lot. It's real deep.
Bill, for example, was going to create, of the jobs it was creating, 70% would have gone to men, mostly working class men of all colors, actually. But no mention was made of that because of this fear that it will somehow seem that you're less interested in women and girls. And I think that for conservatives, they would much rather talk about issues like marriage.
You know, this made me just think about how this you know, most of the people in this election really was about the abortions and stuff like that.
This election.
And they really played on that. And of course, there was no room to talk about the male because so much attention was on that, you know. And I'm not gonna get into that deep of a thing, but could you imagine a candidate talking about a male when the abortion, when the abortion thing was coming out? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, when is the right time to kind of talk about?
You can't.
Yeah,
you can't. And that's the like. Political debates and stuff like that are about getting numbers. You know what I'm saying? Who am I going to cater towards for the most part to get numbers? Nothing really is 100% male. And, you know, and if it is, you're not going to get a bunch of numbers behind it. You know, like he was talking about the infrastructure bill, which would be predominantly male, right? Male driven and stuff like that. See how much back and forth there was on that? But like, you know, with everything else, when we're talking about abortion, like this stuff makes headlines. This stuff makes news. This stuff is big because the moment you don't talk about it,
it evokes so much emotion out of people, especially women. You know,
of course, you know what I'm saying. The moment you don't talk about it, you know what I'm saying. You're not relevant in a sense. So yeah, no.
Allow for the reality and the wonderful news of more gender equality. So for different reasons, we're really being failed on this front by our political leaders.
Among the subjects, among the solutions that you advance, red shirting. What's the short version of what that would be all about?
Boys have fallen well behind girls in the education system at every level. And one reason for that is that boys' brains mature later than girls. And again, this is not a surprise to anyone that has sons and daughters, knows boys and girls, has ever been a boy or a girl, which is that a 15, 16-year-old boy and girl, they're not equivalent in terms of their brain development. And so what that means is that girls are at something of an advantage just because they develop earlier, partly because they hit puberty earlier. So redshirting is a proposal whereby boys would start school a year later than girls.
Well, what you think about that? Boys starting school a year later?
Hell yeah. No, I'm just saying. Hell yeah.
And
Let's go a year later.
Why that reaction? Hell yeah. What?
Get another year off. That's something.
They don't
right.
care.
They don't care. They don't care.
I think that's interesting. And I think it's interesting because we have daughters and we have a son. And our daughters, especially our middle child, was way more advanced than our son is at this age.
Both of them are.
Yeah. It just kind of makes you look like, I thought something was wrong with him. Like, after having girls and then having a son, I'm like, why isn't he talking? Why is it? It's just they were so much more advanced than him. And it's I feel like that fact right there is shown right just within our family. And then just as a whole, I think it's not a bad idea because if studies have shown, and if it's, you know, a fact that women mature faster than men, and I can't help it, who run the world? You know, I'm just joking, but I'm just joking. I am. But you know, I feel like if that helps the playing field, if the modern male is struggling and we're looking for solutions to kind of help them out, to even the playing field, or, you know what I'm saying, not that it's a competition or anything like that, but if it'll help the boys, you know, in the education system, then I feel like that's not a bad idea to have set them back just a year.
Well, my thing is, okay, you set them back a year. Yeah, you change the statistics of for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, that child, that male child or that female child, is still going to perform in their class around the same way, right? Granted, okay, if he's a year older, like let's say he's 16 and the girl is 15 in the class, he's still going to perform to his ability at that age, right? So, I mean, yeah, I get it, right? I get to change the statistics of giving guys would he have more of an advantage? You know what I'm saying? Because if he's whatever, a bad test taker, quote unquote, right? If he's a bad test taker, it doesn't matter if he's in this year or the next year, he's going to be quote unquote a bad test taker.
It's all about the maturity, though. He's saying that girls mature faster than male. So holding a guy back 1 year would put him on more of an even playing field with a girl who's at, you know, if a 6-year-old girl versus what am I trying to say? If the boy is 5 and the girl is 6, how would that go?
No, you're talking about if the boy is 6 and the girl is 5, right? Because or whatever, right? When they hit puberty. So let's just go puberty wise. If they're talking about, you know, the boy is 16 and the girl's 15, right? Their maturity level is about the same. My thing is, what does that help in the educational portion of it? How does that help educationally?
Because if he's at a point now where he is more focused, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say a girl is more focused at the age of 5. A boy is about the same level of focus at the age of 6. So it's making him be delayed a year back will help him in the classroom, because now he's more mature to sit there in the classroom with a girl who is 5 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, starting school at 6 instead of 5. Now he can listen more, and he's a little bit more ready for it. You know?
I got you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If a year makes that difference, then and my mindset is like, okay, I get it with the maturity. Like, okay, I can see it, but then.
And it's because he's saying that the girls are so much more advanced than guys. It's kind of like, it's not.
Well, he ain't say so much more.
Yeah, I mean, so much more, way more advanced. You know?
Right. They so much.
And, you know, it kind of helps the male out, because if the girl is seeming like they're excelling in a subject, whereas really it's not that there's so much, not saying that to take away from the females, of course, but it seems like they're excelling because they mature faster. To hold the boy back, it would kind of just help the male out, because if the girls are doing way better statistically in their classrooms, then to hold the boy back, it would kind of show like, hey, we just need to hold them back a year later, just so they can be at the same level as some of their peers.
Right.
You know, it's just like, if a kid's not ready to go to the next grade, they get held back a grade.
Just hold them back.
No, it's not that. It was helping. They're just, you know, girls start school at 5, a boy starts school at 6.
Y'all gonna fail anyway. Let's just hold all y'all back.
We're gonna hold
grade.
everybody back.
back.
And it's not like that. It's really just helping. It's trying to find a solution. You know, not saying that y'all
just joking.
Been stupid since birth. No,
Y'all stupid.
It's not our fault, you know. But in another interview, he said it was just basically how dang, I done lost my train of thought. In another interview, he was just saying how girls are more equipped to handle the classroom because girls can sit still longer. They can pay attention longer. You know, it's the classrooms are built for them. How they're taking away PE, how they're taking away these extracurricular activities for male, like shops and stuff like that kind of can keep the male busy, and recess is going away. You know, males, not saying that females don't need recess or anything like that, but recess is being taken away where guys need that outlet to get this energy off. You know, guys typically have more energy than females especially at that age. You want to run, you know.
For sure. Yes.
Not saying girls don't run.
Now, Jesus.
I mean, my son he's way more active than the girls were at this age, and it just kind of shows. And that's why I kind of agree with what he's saying. Like, guys need these outlets because they want to do more with their hands. They're more active, or you know, it's just I don't know. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's just proven with sports.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Level playing field in education than the one we have right now, simply because of these biological differences in the timing of brain development, which means, as I said, that 16-year-old girls are about a year ahead of the typical 16-year-old boy.
And one final thought. If more women are pursuing a college education than men, that's going to have a significant impact on marriage and ultimately on mating, right? I mean, that trend is a long-term trend.
It's a long-term trend. It might, is the honest answer, Michael. We don't know yet what impact it'll have on marriage. The key question is going to be the extent to which women are willing to marry men who are less educated than men. Already, wives are on average a bit more educated than their husbands. Will they be willing to do that? I think that might depend on the economic circumstances of the guy. Like a nurse may well marry a plumber, but I think it needs to be played out, and we'll see. It could have a negative impact. We just don't know yet.
Well, with married women marrying men, what's their education?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be, I don't know, right?
They're making more because they're more educated.
So
getting higher paying jobs.
Right. So now in now today's society, right? Women don't want to date down or marry down.
I was like, he said you don't know the trend yet. I can tell you right now that it's going to be terrible.
It's going to be terrible. And the thing about it is, it's just like, it's kind of like the shoe is on the other foot now, right?
Yeah.
So women want men with all these six figures and this high paying job and this good education and stuff like that to date them, and they're not on the same level and they want them to provide. But then when the roles are reversed, women are like, I don't want to date that. Now I have to settle.
Yeah,
right?
women are going to have to settle, and it's not saying that there isn't men out here who's making good money and who's making good, you know what I'm saying, like, and doing good for themselves, you know. But
y'all gonna outnumber, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be outnumbered, and then it's not just like you said. Women are going to have to settle. Why is it considered settling now? Because it's not considered settling when a man.
I feel like that's the attitude though. Like
that is the attitude. You know what I'm saying?
Settle,
that's the attitude. Men, when we have a higher education or are doing a lot better, and we go and we get a woman who's not doing as well as we are and not on the same level, that's what women want. But nobody's calling it settling. But now once women start getting better educations and getting more money and stuff like that, then they have to settle. But it's like, why all of a sudden is it called settling?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's just like, go ahead.
That's what it is.
It's not.
Because
that's not what it is.
No, I'm saying that's what
it's
deemed settling. You know, for a woman to date somebody who's not making as much money or not, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of looked at like, girl, you could do better than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is. And most women who make really good money, I don't know. I just feel like
they're not dating down.
They're not dating. They don't want to, at least. You know what I'm saying? They, at the while, I feel like time's ticking. Because, of course, you know, you might want to get married and have kids, but you're so focused on your career and you don't want to date down. It's kind of
ticking time bomb.
Yeah, it kind of messes with, in this case, in marriages and the family, you know. So it is. I do feel like he said only time will tell. I don't think time needs to tell that story.
It's gonna be soon. Type of deal.
Yeah, it's like, so I do feel like this problem with the modern male needs to be addressed, because at the end of the day, I feel like women want equality to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Because you want a man who's gonna provide. You want a man who's going to lead. You want a man, you know, but not all women. We probably hear some clapbacks on this about women don't need a man to lead them and all this other stuff. And that, not saying that, you know, to have a tyrant, you know, but you typically want a man who you feel comfortable with to follow. You know what I'm saying? And if women feel like I can do it all, there's leaving no room for a man to kind of step into their life and feel important.
And that's the scary part, because once you as a woman sit there and feel like I can do bad all by myself, which maybe you can do bad all by yourself, but when it comes to a family, you can't do bad all by yourself. Once you get with a man and you make it seem like you don't need him or you can do all this by yourself, a man is in a relationship he wants to feel wanted. And it kind of sucks, because that's kind of how everything is built upon. As long as a man can provide and stuff like that, then he feels wanted and he's loved in his relationship. But you get to a situation where you're in a relationship with this woman who has a higher education, who has more money, and then all of a sudden you can't be the quote unquote man of the house. You know, you're being challenged more often. Not that you shouldn't be challenged in a regular relationship, right? Because I don't run everything in our relationship at all. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm being challenged on things where I shouldn't be challenged. Now I'm being taken for granted and stuff, and that's the sad part about it, because as a man with that authority and you want to follow because you want your man to lead, you want him to be the authoritarian, you want him to be, but that's masculine. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's supposed to be for a man. That's a masculine trait.
Right.
As a man, you want a woman who's feminine If I wanted a masculine woman, I'll go date one of my best friends or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like my best friend guy. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want a man, I'll go date a man. Like in a relationship with a woman, just because you make more, just because you do more or whatever, doesn't mean you have to bring that masculine energy. But that's exactly where this is going to be headed. Women are like, I make more money. I do this, I do that. So now I can talk to you however I want to talk to you, even though that's not how roles are reversed. Just because I make more money doesn't mean I can talk to you the way I want to talk to you or whatever. It doesn't mean that I'm going to try to belittle you and stuff like that. But that's the trend. I'm better, or I have more money. I have to date down. If it won't for me, I can do better than you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's what we're gonna run into. We're gonna run into a lot of that with our men and women in today's society making more, which is it's okay to have more, right? It's okay to have more, but with more comes more responsibility. And the way the movements are going, or the way that we're boasting up women and stuff like that, is I can do bad all by myself. But then after you get your career and you get your money and then you don't want to date down, you're going to be 50, 60 years old, single. And there's a lot of women that you know today who are single, not in their 50s and 60s, but are in their 30s, their late 20s, their 30s, their 40s. They're only getting older and nobody wants to marry them. People want to sleep with you because you're a woman, but nobody wants to marry you.
But do you feel like that's because the modern male is struggling? Like if the issue is a modern male is struggling and you got all these single women who's not getting married, there also is a decline in marriage.
No, you have the mindset that I'm strong and independent. What's strong and independent doesn't need any help, right? If I'm strong and independent, I don't need any help. A man wants to be there to help. At the moment you say you don't need me for any help, why would I want to be with you? And that is the mindset of most women these days, strong and independent. That's fine. You can still be strong and independent and be submissive and feminine in a relationship. But if you carry that energy and then you try to carry that energy into a first date, second date, third date, fourth date, I'm going to be feminine once the man gives me a reason to be feminine. You'll never have a lasting relationship unless you want one of those yes men, which you're not going to build a relationship like that, where he's just going to be like, yeah, whatever you want, babe, whatever you want, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. So
I don't know. But so what do you think your advice is to this new standard? Like, you know, if a woman is single because she has this kind of mindset, she's making more money, she's doing more, but she's also single, and the fact that she has to date down. Where am I trying to go with this? Let's say a woman is dating down, you know, let's just say, but she's dating down. Do you feel like it's wrong to invest in your spouse? Like, let's say you're
so
making so much.
But the thing about it, go ahead.
You know, you're making so much more money than your spouse, and obviously your spouse has potential to make more money too. Do you think it's demeaning to a man that his wife is making more money and she's like, here, babe, I'm investing in you to invest in your business that you want to grow and stuff like that?
Thing about it is, if you're mature enough to be in a relationship and understand that it takes two, no matter how much money you make, you can have all the money in the world. If you go and you have kids, what do people with a lot of money that have kids do? They hire a nanny, right? It takes two, whether it's you and him or it's you and the nanny or something like that. It takes more than one person. It takes a village to raise a child. I feel like as a woman, if you're making a lot more money, if you know yourself that, hey, because I have more money, I'm going to start treating this dude as if he's nobody the moment he doesn't cooperate with me, because marriage and relationships is all about giving and pulling. If you're in a relationship and you feel like I can do bad all by myself, why would you stay? You know what I'm saying? And why would you listen to this person? As a woman, if you can't sit there and be not necessarily friendly, but if you can't collaborate, there we go. If you can't collaborate with your spouse who you with, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, the more money you have, the less agreeable you will be as a woman. Just go ahead and buy a dog. Like
no, but I'm just saying, do you feel like as a man, if your wife is making more money and she's like, hey, babe, let me invest in you so you could do stuff, do you feel like that will make you less as a man?
That's not the meaning. And that's the thing. You have to get with somebody who is on the same level as you as far as understanding that because you're helping me doesn't make me less of a person. Also, you have to be that person as the woman or as the man. Because I'm helping this person does not make that person less than me. When you go and you give to charity, when you go and give, that person has less than you, but they are not lesser of a person than what you are. Right. And it should be the same thing in your spousal thing or with your spouse. So it doesn't demean the man in that sense. But as women go and get these better jobs and these better things, you have to be more patient, and with greater responsibility, with great achievements and stuff like that comes greater responsibility. You have to be that person that's more patient. You have to be that person that's not just going to split and leave because you can do bad all by yourself. So that's kind of my advice to women going forward, even though I'm not a woman or anything. But as for a man's ego, you having more money, you can't talk down to this man. You can't belittle this man because he's not making ends meet. And now this is a man who's trying, right? This ain't no man
who's trying.
Yeah, this ain't just no man who's just doing whatever, right? So that's just my advice.
And that's kind of what I was trying to hint into, like the ego, the male's ego. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more fragile than people realize. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the male. Please edit all this. I feel like I'm getting my point. Hold on. The male ego is way more fragile than we think. You know what I'm saying? Like, the man is taught to be strong and stuff like that, and taught to be proud and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, they're human too. Yeah. And their pride can be hurt, and their ego can be hurt if we just sit there and make them feel like they're not needed. Yeah. And so I really do feel like, again, both people are needed. The man and the woman is both needed. We're working on equality and stuff like that, and it, like he said here, it's not that we're trying to downplay the achievements that women have been making, but this modern man, we have to recalibrate the way that we're doing things, because at the end of the day, if again these stats are showing that the males are out here struggling and more likely to commit suicide, more likely to go to jail, more likely to die of a drug overdose or alcohol. It's like we have to start paying attention to this stuff, because at the end of the day, we need each other. And we say it's almost every video we've done so far.
Yeah, I mean,
we need each other.
That's where all this goes. And that kind of goes with, even the statistics are showing that more women are staying single, having less families and being single, because they're achieving more in their academic achievements, and they're not wanting to date down. So it's not saying that you have to put everything on hold, but like, as for the women women biology, right? The women, I'm gonna have to edit all this out. But as for the women's body, right? You have a limited amount of time where you can have kids, right? And you can have a family. And there's plenty of studies that have been shown that women who achieve greatness and took all their years of achieving greatness without having a family long for a family. You know what I'm saying? So what do you want to do? Do you want to be bitter and nasty and be like, oh, I don't want to date down and be single forever? Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to be that one that, hey, I'm making this money, but I'm not going to treat somebody different just because they make less than me, right, or they don't have the same education as me.
And again, I haven't read his book, and I'll put a link down so y'all can get it off Amazon. But if you do read it, or if you do check it out, let us know in the comments what you think about it, because I really do feel like I want to read this book. I don't know about you, but I really feel like his point of leveling the playing field as far as the education, because we do want to see our males exceed in school as well. Because I just think about my child and my son, or you could think about your brother or your cousin, or your close male counterpart, or the male in your family, where you want to see them succeed. Your friend, you want to see them succeed. And I think this is something that really needs to be taken seriously, because if you're not excelling at school, that's something that's already drilled into you as a kid as one of your first major achievements. And if the dropout rate, or you're not going to college and stuff, and man, the problem is just going to continue to exist. Right. So I feel like something like this is really, I think this is really neat, or really something to consider, or something that everybody should really just pay attention to. Yeah, for sure. So that is our video, you guys. You guys make sure you guys leave a comment down below. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the modern male is struggling? Do you think that there's anything that we can do to boost up men and still keep boosting women up at the same time? And if you are a male or a woman, just let us know down in the comments if you've experienced any of these situations happening in your life down below. All right, because we'll listen to them and we'll go ahead and comment on them as soon as we see them. And yeah, that's it. Until then, until next time. Until next time, rightly so.